The waiver wire is going to be very important as we roll into week 3. We're seeing huge injuries all across the board. We're seeing some players exceed expectations. There are some players who are seeing a lot of workload, who are doing good, who are being slept on. And we're going to talk about 10 wide receivers today that you can pluck off waivers, add them to your team to help you win your league. You need to hit that subscribe button though, so you can stop missing out on these deep dives on these players. We cover the advanced metrics, we help you set your lineups, we help you win the waiver wire, we help you win trades, and all of that stuff matters as it helps you win your league. But let's dig in. Let's look at these 10 players that you can get off the waiver wire. So wide receiver number 1, TUTU ATWELL, still hanging around the waiver wire in a lot of leagues, even though we told you to pick him up multiple times last week, but still had a good game against the 49ers. The Rams are running 80 plays per game. I don't know how sustainable that's going to be, but looks like they're going to be running a lot of plays nonetheless. Maybe 75, maybe 76 plays per game when everything's said and done. But you got to see, he's got 17 targets and a 19.1% target share on the year, 228 air yards, 13.4 average depth of target, and he's been running on 95% of the routes. Things are looking good for TUTU ATWELL. He's got speed to burn and get you yards after the catch or burn it downfield. Cooper Kupp will eventually be back, but if you're running this many plays per game, there's going to be opportunities for him to do some things on the field. Puka Nacua is looking good. This offense is really pushing the pace here. We're seeing a lot of pieces in this offense fire early in the season. TUTU ATWELL is one of them, but as long as this team's pushing the pace, he's going to be getting some chances here to put fantasy points up on the board as he's been doing. He's getting a good target share. He's getting a good amount of air yards a game. Things are looking good. TUTU ATWELL is finally starting to hit for us in fantasy. Next player we're looking at is Tank Dell. A lot of people are talking about him on the waiver wire. And the Texans are also running 80 plays per game right now. As they're playing catch-up in a lot of games, they're in a lot of fire game scripts. 2 already on the season. Should be seeing more, though. It's not like they're going to be running the clock with big leads. They're going to be slinging the rock this year. And 10 targets for a 23.3% target share last week for Tank Dell. Pretty solid. Pretty solid. Running on 81.8% of the routes there. And he's also been used on the outside and in the slot with a 30% slot rate. That's really good. 95 air yards. Things are starting to open up for him. A lot of volume in this offense as they're playing catch-up in a lot of games. Should be seeing that throughout the season. Tank Dell looked good in preseason. He looked good in training camp. Has a rapport with C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud wanted to draft him. He's a rookie, and he's on the come-up right now. Expect him to earn more routes, more targets as we get moving into the season. Middle of the year, later in the year, we should be seeing more out of him. But this is a good sign as we're seeing him get some production, some workload here in week 2. Next, Jayden Reed. He's still in waivers in a lot of leagues, but he is getting a lot of targets. He's targeted on 33% of his routes. He had 8 targets and a 32% target share last week against the Falcons. 66% route participation rate, 61 air yards. And he is going to be a big piece of this offense. And there are going to be some game scripts here that goes his way. It's going to be productive. Things are going to start to click. And he's going to have some production here for us sooner than later. And you're just going to have to play the matchups with him and hope for the best. Even when Watson comes back, Reed is still going to be on the field. He'll be in the slot. He'll be moved around a little bit. He's a high-end second-round pick that they got in this year's draft and instantly started transition to the NFL game as he was a big thing in minicamp. He was a big thing in training camp. Looked good in preseason. Now he's doing some stuff here at the NFL level. He broke out with 2 different collegiate programs here. Broke out with Western Michigan, broke out with Michigan State. Just expect him to do some good things. He should at least, at the very least, be a good NFL wide receiver. But we should expect something out of him for fantasy football purposes sometime down the line. Next is Josh Reynolds. He's been getting some workload here, and he's been getting some opportunities in this high-volume passing offense which is good to see. The Seattle Seahawks game script was a plus matchup for him as they let Puka Nacua and TUTU ATWELL in week 1 blow past them. We knew these wide receivers were going to do some things. Josh Reynolds was picked to do some things in the sneaky start video because he is the deep ball guy right now until Jameson Williams gets back. 17.6% target share, 82 air yards in this game. On the season, he has 35 fantasy points, 9 catches for 146 yards. He's actually competing with Amon-Ra St. Brown right now. But deep ball city for this guy. He's also getting targets. He's getting opportunity here. Plus matchups while Jameson Williams is out. He's a guy you want to look at. He's a sneaky play. He's not a guy you want to start every week, but he's a guy you want to gamble with because he can tap into that upside if he brings in some of these deep balls, gets targeted in the red zone. He's got some opportunity here with a team that can push the pace. Next is Marvin MIMS, one of those rookies we've been looking at all off season long, and he's a deep ball specialist, and you can tell by these stats here. 2 targets, 7.4% target share, 91 air yards, because he can go deep and bring it down. Caught some touchdowns here, 20.3 PPR points this week. Ran just 6 routes. Got a 14.3 route participation rate. You know what, though? He made it count. Brought in both of the targets that came his way. And this guy is a deep ball specialist who's also very nuanced, good ball skills, plays bigger than his size, has 4.3 speed, second-round pick. Broncos did not have many picks in this year's draft. They really did not have to go wide receiver at this part because they had a bunch of other needs, but they had to get Marvin MIMS. You know what? When you look at his metrics from college, you look at the athletic specs from the combine, you compare him to those first-round wide receivers, he stacks up with them. He's got some upside. Let him marinate in his offense a little bit. Give him some time. But he's a guy you want to pay attention to at least, if not pick up and hold as a stash. Because guaranteed the Broncos are looking at the film this week and they're like, hey, we got to let Marvin MIMS run some more routes. We got to get him some more targets. We got to get this guy involved. He's got speed. He can stretch the defense. He can do some good things. We saw that at Oklahoma throughout his collegiate career. Marvin MIMS, pay attention to him. Next, SHAHEED. He's a guy that's always on the waiver wire, and we're always looking at him, even last year. And the reason why is the Saints push the ball down the field. They like to sling the rock. Carr loves to do that. He gets a 14.3 average depth of target, 5 targets per game so far, 15% target share. So deep ball city, you don't really want to go after wide receiver 3s in fantasy. You don't really want to do that. It's not a good thing to do. However, he could be a splash play in plus matchups. That's something you want on your fantasy team or something you want to gamble with in your lineup here and there in the right matchup. Also in DFS, he is a DFS dandy if you're stacking lineups in huge tournaments. That's a guy you want to look at from week to week just to see if you can allow him to be a cheap asset on your team so you can build the rest of your roster with more expensive players. Next, Jonathan Mingo, second-round wide receiver, looking good and getting some opportunity here. 21% target share, 92.9 route participation rate, and is getting 96 air yards per game. So he's getting targets, and he's getting deep targets. That is what we want to see from our wide receivers in general. He's a bigger wide receiver with good athleticism, and he's getting used off the rip here. I get it. It's the Panthers. Things aren't looking good. Bryce Young's not looking good. But Mingo could be a shining light here off the waiver wire as things start to click, as some game scripts start to break. Mingo could break out in a big way if he continues to get a 20% target share and almost 100 air yards a game, because naturally, the laws of attrition here, the laws of target attraction, whatever you want to call it here, when you're getting deep targets and a lot of them, eventually something's going to break your way. You may want to look at Jonathan Mingo because he is a talented rookie, one of the best wide receivers at the Senior Bowl, got drafted high, top second-round pick, a guy you want to look at here. Next, Jalin HYATT, another rookie, and he's not a guy who's being talked about on the waiver wire this week by a lot of places. But I want to shine a light on him for the future. I don't expect anybody watching this video to pick them up, but I do like to bring up guys who are on waivers who you need to know about going forward, because this is more of a deeper channel than some of those other basic channels, because I'll just let them do the basic stuff for you, and then I'll go a little deeper for you. So we got 76 air yards in this game against the Cardinals. He also ran 41.7% of his snaps in the slots. He is a deep ball guy, a deep ball specialist. Watch his highlights, his film, whatever you can from him from last year at Tennessee. He can take the top off the defense. He's got ball skills. 2 targets, 5.7% target share, ran 12 routes, 27.3% route participation rate. The thing is, though, as he gets more acclimated to the team, the NFL game, he's going to be running more routes, getting more opportunity. I'm not saying he's going to break out and be the next top wide receiver. I'm saying if he's on the field and he's running 20 to 30 routes a game, and he's going to be running these deeper routes, there's an opportunity, brings in a couple passes. We know the Giants are going to be playing in broken game scripts all year long. They're going to be slinging the rock downfield. HYATT could have some breakout performances. A guy you need to pay attention to later in the year. I might be a month early on this. I might be 2 months early on this. But I'm seeing it because I know his profile from his college days. I watched it. I pay attention to these players from when they're in high school till now. I'm telling you, he's got deep speed. He's got ball skills. If things materialize, if he marinates to the game, if he's starting to run more routes, you need to pay attention to him big time, because if he's getting targeted deep consistently, there's just going to be some games where he goes off. Next, KENDRICK Bourne. He's still getting targeted. Even when he doesn't score via fantasy points, he's still getting opportunity. 9 targets, a 21% target share, ran 26 routes, 55 route participation rate. You want that from your wide receivers. I'll take that all day, even if they don't score. If they're getting opportunity, I want that. I don't like the Patriots offense. I hate the Patriots offense. I hate Mac Jones. I don't like what I see from this team. I don't think they're fast-paced enough. All that stuff in a bag of chips. And I know there'll be slower game scripts, because you can't get a much faster game script than the Dolphins pushing the pace on you. There are not many teams that can push the pace like that. So if they get their way and they slow things down, his volume will go down as well, even though he'll have a high share. Keep that in mind. But he's also free off the waiver wire. He's on waiver still in a lot of teams, even though I told you to pick him up last week. But he's still getting opportunity. We chase opportunity here, not fantasy points, because opportunity will eventually break your way. Next, Robert Woods. And he needs more love. Everyone's talking up Tank Dell, but Woods looked good last week, looked good this week. 9 targets, 20% target share. Whenever a wide receiver gets a 20% target share, your eyes should perk up. Ran 48 routes, 87% route participation rate, so around 90%. 98 air yards, 13.4 PPR fantasy points. And again, with the Texans, they're slinging the rock, 80 plays per game. They're going to be playing catch-up in a lot of games. They're going to be having a lot of busted game scripts, and that's going to be good for Robert Woods, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, CJ Stroud. You're going to want these wide receivers off and on throughout the season. Robert Woods, crafty veteran, good route runner, good after the catch, seasoned, nuanced. You want a guy like that. And he's going to clean up if he's continuously getting this workload. And he's going to be a guy that could help you out, especially if you need a guy like this in a pinch. But those are 10 wide receivers you can get off waivers right now that could help you on your fantasy team. Some of them you may want to get a month from now, 2 months from now, or we're just keeping an eye out. But I'm trying to go a little deeper on some of these players so you're ready just in case they pop off. And plus, it's good to go a little deeper than everybody else, so we're prepared for the future, and it's good to have that knowledge of those players just in case. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you. Catch you on the next video.